Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash, Barakatha Yahweh, and Barakatha Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the true name of Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is the true name of the Heavenly Father's Son, the Son of Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I want to give double honors to my apostles and to my elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and peace and blessings goes to the hopeful elect, my brothers that are out in the highways, pushing his word and his truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Isaiah from GMSLA, prophesying in the San Fernando Valley. And in today's lesson, real quick, I just want to go into this article from RT News about a statement that this Prime Minister of UK, Boris Johnson, just made, how he wants the Roman Empire alliance would benefit Europe. All right, so basically, the countries that the Roman Empire had dominion and power and influence over, Europe wants the same thing. Little do they know, the Roman Empire is already here, known as America, which came out of the UK, which came out of Great Britain, man. All right, Great Britain is the mother of America. All right, and like is mentioned in Jeremiah the 50th chapter, this place is gonna the Great Britain is gonna be ashamed of this place, America. All right, and it's gonna shoot missiles at this place. All right, you can read that in Revelation, Jeremiah 50 and Revelation 17 and 16, how it says that even the allies are gonna turn against the 10 horns are gonna turn against this place and shoot missiles. All right, but in this lesson, I just want to bring out some history and bring out some scriptures. All right, and Lord willing, it is edifying. All right, so it says Boris Johnson wants a political community encompassing not only the EU but the Roman Empire's old territory. Now, I don't want to, I'm not gonna read the whole article. I'm just gonna read basically up to here. All right, but anyway, it says UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson was reportedly so infatuated with French President Emmanuel Macron's idea of the European political community encompassing not only the EU but Eastern Europe, particularly Ukraine and the UK, that he has claimed it as his own idea and framed it as a modern take on the Roman Empire. The Financial Times reported on Wednesday. Johnson's modern imperium would stretch from the UK to Maghreb region of northern Africa and eastward to Turkey and Ukraine, he said, declaring he had come up with Macron's idea back when I first became a foreign secretary, and revealing he believed we should basically be recreating the Mare Nostrum of the Roman Empire. In an audience with journalists en route to Madrid for a NATO summit on Tuesday, Mare Nostrum was the Roman name for the Mediterranean Sea, adopted at a time when the empire controlled much of Europe, the coast of northern Africa, and modern-day Turkey, extending into the Caucasus region. Right now, why do these the alliance that the Roman Empire had, the dominance and alliance that the Roman Empire had, all right, over these regions, why do they want the same power, man? Because they're the same people coming back. All right. And like I mentioned earlier, you had America, which is the modern day Roman Empire. All right. Coming out of Great Britain, man. All right. So let's go into this Mare Nostrum. Let's go into a little history of that. You go into Wikipedia. Mare Nostrum was a Roman name for the Mediterranean Sea. The term Mare Nostrum originally was used by the ancient Romans to refer to the Tyrrhenian Sea after the conquest of Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica. During the Punic Wars with Carthage, by 30 BC, Roman dominion had extended from the Iberian Peninsula to Egypt and Mare Nostrum began to be used in the context of the whole Mediterranean Sea. All right, other names were employed, including Mare Internum, internal sea, but they did not include Mare Maderum, which was the late Latin creation that was attested to only well after the fall of Rome. All right, now when you go into a map, show you a picture. This is where Rome. This is where they had dominion by. This is where they had the dominion. All the countries and that they ruled and taxed and had great influence by. All right. Yeah, you see, you had UK, the Saxons and the Angelos. You had the Spanish, the French. Okay, over here you had Israel, parts of North Africa. All right, and basically what this guy, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of UK, he wants Europe to have that same influence, the same power, just like Rome. All right. Now let's go to let's bring out a scripture. That was it on that. That's all I was gonna read. Let's go into how the beast. All right, there was going to some history. Let's start off with Daniel's the 7th chapter, and I'll start from the 6th verse. All right, because this nation that I mentioned is the first Edomite nation that came in power. All right, that I'm about to mention. This is Daniel 7:6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Right, so this leopard represents Alexander the Great. All right, in the Greek Empire. All right, which had 4 wings of a fowl, which represent his 4 generals that Alexander split his kingdom after he died. And these generals were Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. You could also do your research on the 6 Syrian wars of them trying to have dominion of the known world at that time. All right. Verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. All right, and this 4th beast represents the Roman Empire. Okay, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. Right, it was strong exceedingly and it had great iron teeth, meaning its military might, its military power. All right, because the Roman Empire was one of the first nations to really use iron as its weapons. All right, when you go into you had a thing called the Roman Iron Age, or the Iron Age. All right, this is from study.com. The Iron Age in the Roman Empire, history and conquest. Irons is a useful metal, and you can do a lot with it. You can make cookware, nails, agriculture tools, and other handy things. Despite this, we tend to associate iron with one application, in particular warfare. There's a reason for this. The Iron Age of Europe saw the expansion of several military powers, from the Athenian Empire to the Empire of Alexander the Great. None, however, would reach the size or scale of the Roman Empire. The Roman Iron Age began long before Rome became an international empire, but it was partly thanks to iron weapons that the Roman military was so effective. Of course, it was iron in the hands of the Roman enemies that led to its downfall. How that's ironic. All right, so Rome, they were known as using iron as the weapons, using for warfare to take down its enemy. All right, the reason why you had the Mare Nostrum, how Rome was able to, conquer all these nations and tax all these nations and make allies, was with its iron teeth, with his strength, his great power, his military might. All right, so let's go back to Daniel 7 and where we left off. I'll start from the top again. It says, and after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. Right, because who could who could come, who had the power to fight against this beast? To fight it, who had what nation had the power to take down the Roman Empire? None. All right, you had nations that did fight. All right, but they end up losing, man, because it was Rome's time to rule. It was Esau's time to rule. All right, but there's gonna be a time where they're gonna the Roman Empire, the ancient Roman Empire, was gonna fall, and they fell, under Constantine under Constantine the Great, the Holy Roman Empire. All right, that's when you go to the book of Revelation 13, which Lord Willing will get it. They became wounded, but their deadly wound was healed. All right, which they came back through America. All right, through NATO, EU, and America, which when we continue reading, it says, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, right? All the other nations that had dominion of the earth, the known world at that time, like Assyrian, Babylon, all right, Medes and the Persians, all right, they were diverse because they had a senate, all right. Back the other nations, like you had, like for example, you had King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. He could make he made all the rules. He decides what goes and what doesn't. That's why he set it up. He set up decree. All right. He can set decrees on his own. He doesn't need a senate like you have the Roman Empire that had. They had a senate. All right. They had a thing called the plebeians and the patricians. All right, which was in today's term, the Democrats and the Republican, the party. All right, they had a Senate where the president couldn't just pass any rule that he want. He has to go. They had to go to the Senate. All right, that's what made this empire, the Roman Empire, diverse, different from the other beasts, because they had a Senate. All right, why do you think they killed Julius Caesar, which was the first Roman king? All right, he wanted to rule. He wanted to get rid of that, but they assassinated him. All right, it says it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. All right, and these 10 horns were the allies with Rome. All right, and these were what I'm about to say is the ancient names. All right, today they have modern names, but the ancient names, all right, were the Anglo-Saxons, the Franks, the Alemanni, the Lombards, the Ostrogoths, Visigoths, the Burgundians, I'm gonna just spell it Burgundians. The Vandals, the Suri, I'm gonna spell it Seuri, and the Heruli, Heruli. These were the 10 ancient names of the 10 horns. But today they have modern names, which we're gonna get into that when I bring out Revelation, the 13th chapter, Lord willing. So it says, verse 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. Right, and this little horn represents America. All right, because it came up out of one of the horns, which was Great Britain. All right, the UK. All right, America came out of Great Britain. All right, the Great Britain is the mother of America. But it says, before whom there was 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Right, and this goes into the 3 revolutionary wars that America had. All right, when you go into the 3 horns, you had Great Britain. They had the east coast of America, and then during that time you had a war for independence. And you had France, which was one of the 3 horns. Was France? They had the middle part of America. You had the French-America War. You had Spain, which had the west coast of America. You had the Spanish-American War. All right, when it says pulled up by the roots, meaning they were pulled out of this continent. All right, Spanish, Spain, French, and the Britain. Okay? They were kicked out the continent, man. They lost the war and they had to go back home. All right, and conquered and give up their land to America. That's what made America great. All right, because they were known as the Little Horn, because when they first settled here, you had a group called the 13 Colonies, all right, in the Northeast. That's what made them great. What was when they pushed further west. Okay, in which this land that they took, they stole it from the Native Americans, the Seminole Indians, and the so-called Mexicans. Gad, Reuben, and Issachar. All right. So it says, and behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of men, and mouth speaking great things. Right, goes into their wisdom, man. All right. And it says verse. That was it on that. Let's go into Revelation 13 and 9. Or not 9, Slakia. Revelation 13 and 1. It says, Revelation 13 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. When people read this, they'll think that this is an actual beast coming out of the sea. So in the last days, you're going to have a great, terrible beast that's going to have 10 heads and 7 heads and 10 horns, and it's going to have the name of blasphemy. Nah, man, this is metaphorically speaking of Edomite nations that they're gonna come in power. All right, the beast being NATO and the EU. All right, the 7 heads represent the 7 major empires. Yeah, the 7 heads represent the 7 major empires of Esau. All right, so let's read that again and we'll break it down. So Revelation 13:1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. This beast is not talking about an actual beast again. All right, this is talking about. It represents a kingdom, all right, the Edomite kingdom, the NATO and the EU, all right, having 7 heads and 10 horns. When you go into the 7 heads, which again were 7 major empires of these Edomites, were the Greeks, Spanish, Germanian Major, Germanian Minor, the Romans, the British, and the French. All right, these were the 7 heads, and the 10 horns, which represents which are represents NATO, Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Greece, Ireland, England, West Germany. All right, and we know that when NATO was created, they didn't just have 10 countries. They kept adding onto it. I believe it was about 30 countries, and even more with what's that? Finland and Sweden, I believe. We see how that goes. How Russia's gonna react to that. But anyway, it says, and upon his heads. It says upon his horns 10 crowns, 10 kingdoms, 10 Edomite kingdoms that we're gonna rule, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Because why it says the name of blasphemy? Because what blasphemy does Esau commit? What does he say? All right, he says that he's the son of God. He says that God and his son look like him. That's blasphemy right there. All right, they say that they are the Christians, they are the chosen people. Man, that's blasphemy. Okay, it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Right, this beast which John the Revelator saw like unto a leopard represents Alexander the Great and the Greeks. All right, and if you know what Alexander was known for, he was known as, when he conquered, he conquered swiftly, just like how a leopard was, man. Just like how a leopard is. Trying to fight against a leopard is like fighting against a goddamn chainsaw, man. Tears you up quickly, and that's what Alexander did to the Medes and the Persian Empire, man. All right, so it says, in his feet were as the feet of a bear, right? And his feet were as the feet of a bear, which represents Russia, because the feet represents the end of something, and the Lord is going to use the Russians to end this beast system, all right, end Esau's kingdom, which the Russians are Edomites too. Don't get it twisted, all right. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion, right, which represents Great Britain, All right, because who really controls America? Who really calls the shots? Great Britain, because you have the wicked elites. All right, the wicked elites. All right, they live in Great Britain, man. All right, they're the one that really control America behind the scenes. All right, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Right, because there's a time where the Roman Empire, they fell. All right, the pagan Roman Empire. You had, a man called Constantine the Great. All right, that took down the pagan Roman Empire, and now the Roman Empire became known as the Holy Roman Empire, because you had Constantine the Great. He was, he was going by this book. He was being, he believes in the Most High, but he was even with that, they were going off. All right. Before we continue on, let's get a quick precept. All right. So this is Revelation 20:21. It says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven. This angel was Yahushai. All right. Having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Right. The bottomless pit represents Europe. All right. The key and the great chain in his hand represents bondage, slavery, in which the Lord used Constantine the Great, the Byzantine Empire, to put these Edomites in bondage. All right. And he laid a hold on the dragon, that old serpent. Right. The dragon being, consists of all Edomite Empire, the Roman Empire. All right. That old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Right. This verse proves which that old serpent refers to the time in Genesis. All right. Esau was that serpent that deceived Eve. All right. Which is the devil and Satan. Devil means accuser or deceiver. Satan means adversary. All right. Because Esau, he's an adversary to the Lord. He's an adversary to his laws that he set up. All right. You can see what he's done when he's been loose. You see how he turned everything upside down. He does not uphold the laws and statutes and commandments of the Most High. He's totally adverse to that. It says, and bound him 1,000 years. So the so-called white man, this devil, he was bound for 1,000 years. All right. And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed in a little season. And we're in that little season right now. All right. And look what he has done with it. All right. Look what this Edomite has done with the power, with the power that was given to him. All right. He's deceived the whole world. All right. That's why he's known as the devil. Okay. He deceived the whole world. He polluted the whole earth in wickedness, and just not with wickedness. The whole earth is polluted of this man. All right. And it says, let me read that one more time. It says, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more. Because when he was in bondage, when he was in slavery, he couldn't deceive the nations. He couldn't pollute the earth in wickedness because he was in bondage. Okay? Till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. It all started when Christopher Columbus, when the Spaniards, they came in power, man. All right, the Borgias, all right, the Ottoman Turks, when they took down the Byzantine Empire. Okay. And we're loose for a little season. We're still in that little season right now. So let's go back to Revelation 13 and 4. No, 3. It says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who's able to make war with him? Right, and this is why you have these nations like Russia and China, Iran. They all have to click up, man, and make alliances, man, because they can't go to war with the beast on its own. All right, verse 5. I believe this will be the wait. All right, it says, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And when you go into that 40 and 2 months, what it represents is 350 years from time of 1620 to 1970, because 1970 is when the truth, all right, is when John the Baptist came to scene, known as Abba Bibbins, all right, started waking up his people, the Lord's people, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. All right, and that's when Esau really started to fall, when his truth started coming out. All right. So it says, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints being the Israelites. All right, because this is the place where this is the place where it's wearing out the saints of the Most High. All right, it says, and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And who gave him that power? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. When you go to the book of Daniel's 4 and 7, or 17, all right, because for example, I mentioned the Byzantine Empire and the Ottoman Turks. The Turks wasn't strong enough to take down the Byzantine Empire by itself, but who intervened? The Lord. All right, that's why you have a thing called the Black Plague that weakened the Byzantine Empire, which made way for the Ottoman Turks to come to rule. All right, so when you go to Daniel's 4 and 17, this is the matter by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men, which is the so-called white man. All right, the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. All right, and he decided to give it unto you Edomites. All right, he showed this through a vision through Daniel. He showed Daniel of all the nations that were going to rule before Israel was going to have his dominion, his everlasting kingdom forever. All right, all the nations that were going to rule before that. And the last one is Esau, which Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. So right now the Lord has the bases of men. All right, these Edomites, he has them ruling. All right, so let's go back to Revelation 13 and 7. It says, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. Wait, I was gonna read. What was that point? All right, I'll read to 11. Slakia. I thought I read it. I read it already. So this is verse 9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. Right? If you could understand, which a lot of people, they don't understand this. Like I mentioned earlier, they think that this is an actual beast that's talking about. But no, these represents an actual nation, actual kingdom, which is Esau. All right. You know, it says, verse 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Right. So the so-called white men, they led us into captivity. They're going to go into captivity. The so-called white man kill it with the sword. He kills the Lord's people, the apple of his eye, with the sword. He's going to be killed with the sword. This is why Esau's kingdom is going to go out by the way of fire, by the way of the sword, the nuclear missiles. Okay, and this is what us saints are patiently waiting for, man. All right, we're not to rise up and join up, get an army, try to take this man down ourselves. We're supposed to wait, man. Wait upon the Lord, because he's going to set this in motion, which he already is. Okay, so verse 11, I'll end it here. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right. Now, the 2 horns represents the plebeians and the patricians. You know, the Democrats, known as today the Democrats, and the Republicans. When you go into the word plebeian, a plebeian is like a member of a lower class, while the patricians are like the noble ones. All right. So it says he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right. That dragon, we go into the word dragon. Goes into a crone. All right. Dragon, a great name for certain. But this originate to a Greek lawmaker that made harsh laws for the smallest crimes. All right. I want to see if I can find. Well, this is the guy. This Draco, legislator, was also called Draco. Dracon was the first recorded legislator of Athens in ancient Greece. He placed the prevailing system of oral law and blood feud by a written code to be enforced only by court law. All right, so this is what this word, when you go back to he spake as a dragon. All right, and everyone's about to see that real soon, man. All right, everyone's gonna, because right now they have the Democrats and the Republicans. They play amongst the people's feelings, the left and the rights. They play like they're fighting against each other, but really they're all for the same cause, to push the image of the beast, to push this new world order, man. All right, but they just have it where they deceiving the people, where they're against each other. One's for the people, one's not. And it's all an act, man. All right, they're all for the beast, all for the agenda of this new world order, man. All right, and it's about to be known. All right, because right now he's like a lamb. He comes to you like he's for you, like he's for the people. He cares. He passes laws. You have like with these gun laws. You had that shooting in Texas. You had Biden that looking to pass gun legislation, gun laws, like he's for the people. But they're all on the same accord. They're not for the people. They're against the people. And real soon, these people are going to realize when he starts speaking as a dragon, when he shows his true nature. All right, so with that, hopefully you brothers are edified. I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Shalom.